Hey, what's up everyone? Today we're going to be replacing the driver's side rear wheel bearing on this 2013 Acura MDX. Let's get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start by removing the brake caliper. With a 12mm socket, we're going to remove this bolt and this bolt here. With those out, take the caliper off, set it on top of the upper control arm. With the 17mm socket, we'll remove these two bolts here. Alright, next we're going to remove the brake rotor. We need to remove this screw. Make sure you use the right size Phillips bit. This is a Phillips number 3. And this one is just hand tight. You do not want to strip this out or you'll be spending a lot of time trying to fix it. With this screw removed, you want to find a bolt that will thread into this hole here, and that will easily make the brake rotor just pop right off. The next thing we're going to do is bend up this lip on the metal here before we remove the nut. Next, we're going to remove the axle nut. We'll need a 36mm socket and an impact. Next thing I'm going to do is just lightly tap the axle with a hammer to loosen it. Alright, so with the axle nut removed, there's now 4 bolts. Two on the top and then 2 on the bottom, and we'll be accessing those from the backside here. Okay, we're on the back side. We're going to need a 17mm socket to remove these 4 bolts. Once you get those loosened up, you can usually just unscrew the rest of it by hand. The top one in this corner is the most difficult one to access. Alright, so now we've got all 4 of those bolts removed, so we should have everything holding the wheel bearing and hub assembly in place. So let's see if we can get this off of here. Came right out, no problems. Alright, I've got the new wheel bearing next to the old one here. If I turn the old one, you can hear that noise. If you turn the new one, no noise. You can also feel it in your hands. The old one has like a grinding feel as you're turning it. The new one's just perfectly smooth. When ordering the new wheel bearing for the rear on this vehicle, they were the same for each left and right side. And this is the part number here. Before installing the new bearing, just gonna make sure that this area here that the bearing sits in, just gonna make sure all this is cleaned up real good before we reinstall. Alright, so with that area cleaned up in there, we'll just take the new hub. Doesn't seem to be any up, down, left, right, so the orientation shouldn't matter when you're putting the new one on. We'll just start by inserting the new hub, putting the splines onto the axle shaft. Just supporting the axle from the rear with one hand while I'm pushing from the front with the other hand. Next, we'll reinstall the 4 hub mounting bolts from the back side. Next up, we'll reinstall our axle nut. And what I did is I tightened it until that staked area was lined up with where it was previously. Now using a hammer and a punch, we'll re-stake the nut. Next, we'll reinstall the brake rotor. Make sure that this screw hole here lines up with where this screw goes on the brake rotor. Next, we'll reinstall the brake rotor bracket with the 2 17mm bolts. Just gotta tighten these two caliper bolts. Alright, so that's it for this repair. Hope you guys found it helpful. The old wheel bearing has, I think, 83,000 miles on it. We also recently had the front one go out at about the same time, but I had the shop do that since I don't have a press to press that front one in. But I think it's probably, just kind of looking at it, I'm guessing it's because we live in a northern climate with a lot of salt on the roads that probably made it wear out a little bit more prematurely than it normally would in a more southern environment with less salt on the road. If you found the video helpful, subscribe to the channel and hit the thumbs up button. Thanks.